Griffin is going to do Sara Bash now. He is going to use Bashes.
A minute away from this PB if everything goes well. Oh my god. Is that faster?
Is that faster? Big jerk sometimes. He doesn't want to play nice. Oh my good lord.
What a save!
Oh! He makes it flat.
Oh my god! Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament 2019. We have got for you the beginning of our bracket stage here between number 14 TheSparik and number 19 MrGreez. Going to be a good match here, and as you might have been able to tell from our little intro video there, we've got a different format this year, which we'll talk about. My name is Voligen. I'm here with Shafe. We're going to be taking you through the action today, and just to catch you up on how this is going to work, we are through a qualifier stage, which we went through over the course of 2 weeks. We've got 32 players left. TheSparik and Greez are two of those players, and we're going to be starting our round of 32 here with them now in just a few moments. And Shafe, we are going to be seeing some good stuff here, and as we go through, you know, a single elimination bracket always creates a lot of opportunities for interesting play here.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the more traditional sports, like say the World Junior Hockey Championship, where they go into single elimination in the bracket stage, it's brutal. In previous tournaments, we've had best of three kind of setups, and this time it's you win and you're through, you lose and you're out. So one bad run could definitely spell the end of anybody's performance here throughout the tournament here. So it's going to be pretty exciting. We have number 14 TheSparik up against number 19 Greez. They've got a 40-second separation between the averages that they've posted in the qualifying. So you can expect this to be a close race. Just a quick note, the runners are permitted to watch each other throughout the course of this race. So if they see that one runner's ahead, and then the other's behind kind of deal, they can choose to make safety saves or maybe go for some more risky tricks to try and catch up time. So.
Yeah, that's true, and I believe we've heard from TheSparik that he is going to be watching MrGreez. As you can see on our stat screen here, we got TheSparik with a 30-13 PB from late last year, and we got MrGreez having gotten a 31-30 earlier this year in January. And so with that advantage, TheSparik knows he has a bit of time where he can take advantage of that, maybe make a safety save here and there, sacrifice a little bit of time to give himself a little bit of extra safety. Greez, for his part, he has told us that he knows he basically needs a PB caliber run in order to have a chance against TheSparik. His fastest time in the qualifier, Shafe, was a 31.56, and as you see here, that might make it hard for him to take a victory today.
Yeah, and as you touched on, he's not going to be watching TheSparik. He's just basically going to be going for his PB. Exactly noted to us that it's going to be a huge relief, quote unquote, for him just to get to the charge jump tree. So TheSparik, in the meantime, is willing to take some risky plays if he's on PB pace or if he feels that he's behind. Then he's going to go for some more difficult stuff, like, for example, warmth skip right at the end of the final escape. So we're going to see an early divergence here as well as we get to Black Group Bros in terms of strategies, but we'll talk about that as we get there. As runners are underway, and they're going to be heading over to their first skill of the game, which is Sign. You get the Spirit Flame there, and there's a little tiny optimization that's going to have 2 critical points in terms of the Frankia Walk, and later on when they face the Grotto mini-boss. There's a cooldown that is present on Spirit Flame. If you spam it too fast, it pauses for you, but if you got a nice smooth rhythm to it, you can get continuous shots, and that's going to enable them to beat these Frankies that are going to come up here in the little tutorial fight section while continuously moving to the right and saving a little bit of time.
Yeah, we're also picking up our other kind of, initial thing. This is a Metroidvania. You get a couple things right off the bat to kind of give you your basic capabilities. This is the Spirit Flame right here. Just a moment ago, they also picked up an energy cell. Energy is going to be an incredibly important resource throughout this run. Allows you to make save points anywhere you'd like in the game world with, some caveats. and they're going to be making use of that. Here you see that Frankie fight I just described by Shafe, and they're both just running along and plinking those shots away. Ooh, one missed shot for Greez on the right side, but he is able to finish up the fight just about a second and a half behind TheSparik. So a little bit of a time disadvantage here, but that certainly could come out in the wash, as this segment here, as they're going ahead to their next skill shift, has got a lot of potential for variance.
Yeah, it's typically considered to be sort of one of the higher reset areas, this first segment as you head towards over to the wall jump. And one of the things that they're going to be looking to manage here is the XP that they're going to be getting. One of the consequences of leveling up in this game is you get an explosion that's going to kill a whole bunch of stuff, and it also refills your energy and your life, which is going to be important for a trick that will be coming up in a few minutes, as they're going to be setting up here for a ghost door. They're taking some intentional damages. Greez is losing a little bit of time with some movement there. They're going to drop a save, put the keystones in the door, and take an intentional death here. Looks like TheSparik actually had to take 2 hits, and that despawns the door, confuses the game, and so you can skip the animation process.
Yeah, that water they dipped into was poisonous. That's going to be an important theme throughout this run. Normally in the course of the game, you're going to make the water not be poisonous, but we're not going to be doing that in this speed run, so that is going to deal 1 damage every second anytime you're swimming in it. And you do see both runners head on up to pick up a health cell there just a moment ago. That is going to increase their health from 3 to 4, going to make it a lot easier to survive a lot of things over the course of the run. And now we're kind of in the last little stretch on the way to the wall jump skill, which of course does exactly what it sounds like, what it says on the tin basically, but wall jump is going to really open up the game world. It's going to allow them access to Blackroot Burrows, which is the next area they're going to head to in just a little bit here.
Yeah, that's right. So as they head over to the wall jump, they're going to be going back to the right to Blackroot Burrows towards dash. And one of the things that they're going to be doing here is a trick that you're going to see throughout the run quite frequently. It's called Save Anywhere. So what you do is that at a save point, you open up the ability tree, and whenever you activate an ability in the tree, it automatically saves the game. If you click on the little experience orb in the middle of the screen that pops up, and you press Proceed and Spirit Flame at the same time, it tricks the game and allows Ori to move with the ability tree still open, allowing you to do, as the trick suggests, save anywhere, move Ori, level up an ability, and you can get a save. You're going to be seeing that a lot throughout the course of the run. You may hear us refer to it as SA for short. There's the time level up from MrGreez that we were talking about to kill some of those bushes, save a little bit of time as they make their way back up out of the wall jump area.
Yeah, still pretty much the same deficit between TheSparik and Greez right now. TheSparik ahead about, looks like a second and a half or so. Greez able to make up a little time thanks to the slightly longer ghost door death that TheSparik took. So still very close, definitely within striking distance as we are heading back towards Blackroot Burrows. As we do get there, you'll see them go to a spirit well, open up that save anywhere glitch. And what you're going to visually see when they do that is the ability menu will be visible, but they'll actually be moving around behind it. It can be a little hard to tell on a stream on the internet sometimes, particularly when it's not the full size of the stream, but you should be able to make it out. Another slight divergence here is TheSparik is taking that XP pickup, and MrGreez is skipping it, and that is because of this slight strat difference that they're going to do in Blackroot Burrows here. And here's that save anywhere. Just walk into that cutscene trigger, learn that ability shape, and then they are good to enter the area.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, they're catching up a little bit of time here. There's going to be some platform manipulation coming up and some other cutscene shenanigans that you're going to be able to see here. Let's take a look at who gets the cleaner movement coming down, because that wall jump could be a little bit tricky. Yeah, Greez actually didn't get the quite clean sort of just loop around that wall, so he lost a fraction of a second there. Blackroot Burrows is scary. It's very easy to just miss a jump and lose a little bit of time. Both runners doing a pretty good job overall. MrGreez actually planting down a safety save there as well, just because of how dangerous this area can actually be.
Yeah, and here's that slight strat difference. MrGreez, he's going to go ahead and climb this wall here and pick up 100 XP, and then he's going to continue to the right where TheSparik is already going. TheSparik instead is doing a route called Slime Genocide. This was something that Sigma came up at the beginning of the last tournament in 2018, and TheSparik picked it up pretty much immediately, and so you see he's able to get on that platform cycle pretty much immediately. Greez, unfortunately, had a couple misses on his jump up to that XP, so that cost him a few seconds. He does a save and reload here to reset these platform cycles, but ultimately it's going to cost him a few extra seconds, and TheSparik is able to take a little bit more of a lead here. That's the nice thing about Genocide. He will... yeah, he will have to stop on the way out. I had to think for a second about the route, but he will have to stop briefly on the way out to kill one extra slime, but that shouldn't really eliminate this deficit right here. So TheSparik should be able to take a healthy lead going into the next big section of the game.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up very quickly on one of the first major sequence breaks of the game, so it involves that level up energy refill that we were talking about earlier. But before we get to that, I believe TheSparik is going to be going for the cutscene stack here as opposed to the skip.
That's interesting. I guess I'm not sure about that detail. We're about to find out. Basically, there's this cutscene here that you got to wait. No, he's definitely going for the normal strat. This is, as Shape did mention, there's a strat here called the cutscene stack, where if you save at a slightly different time during that cutscene using your ability, instead of totally skipping it, it will cause part of it to play. You'll get the ability to move over and kind of trigger two cutscenes at the same time, and then the effect would be TheSparik would have had control to move during that tree animation, but he didn't. That's fine, no big deal. Greez is doing the exact same skip, and there you see TheSparik kills his slime and he gets on out, and Greez is still heading back from the tree. So about probably 6 to 8 seconds. Ooh, okay, well, a little more than that now.
Yeah, that's a little bit painful. But as you mentioned, that extra kill on that slime was for... he takes some extra damage on that spike as well as he's trying to lure this Frankie over. The extra kill on that slime is for managing the XP. As we mentioned, the level up gets you the explosion or refills your energy. This trick is known as Frankie Walk, as you can imagine, because we're walking the Frankie over to the right-hand side. There's going to be a 4 energy door here, but we only have 2 energy, so we can't open the door, right? Wrong. If we level up after we put 2 energy into the door, it's going to refill our energy, giving us 4 total energy that we can put in the door. Very nicely done, and sequence break into Grotto getting here much, much earlier than intended.
Yeah, now he has to take a quick dip in the water there, which again is poison, and get past these brambles as well on the wall. They're very dangerous because having just taken a poison swim, he's down to 2 HP, but he manages to safely get through. Greez on his way through the swim as well. He just he gets that little fake shot from Sign that just misses, but he's okay, Shape, so he's able to continue on through, and now on TheSparik's side, we're going to be seeing this Grotto cycle coming up. He's going to try to squeeze into a narrow gap here between this Crusher that's closing, and he does not quite get it, so that's an opportunity for Greez to catch up a bit.
Yeah, that little energy crystal there is the nightmare for this trick. It's an 8-second save if you can get through, but it is so difficult. You try to dash and just do a little hop to get over the energy crystal, but it's so extremely precise, and Greez doesn't even go for it. He just stops, and he's going to wait as they head off to the double jump tree, where we're going to be seeing some blind movement coming up here through a save trick.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty straightforward, sort of. You're going to throw down a save. You're going to use the tree and learn double jump, the next skill, and then you're going to learn an ability, and that will do the same kind of cutscene skip. And so here now we get to do some blind movement as TheSparik is heading back towards the left, and he is able to get up onto the wall, so pretty solid blind movement. You can even get as far as the left wall there if you do incredibly optimal movement. Greez is going to be doing the same thing, but either way, it saves a nice couple of seconds. It's pretty nice. And now we're going to pick up another energy cell, and we're going to do a little bit of a skip here. This is called the Grotto skip, and mostly it skips about 30 to 40 seconds or something less than that of movement around the left side of this area that we don't really have time for. So TheSparik just does a precise jump up that wall, kind of on the underside hanging there, and he manages to make his way up. And now you're going to see some rekindle cutscene skips, which are just a simpler form of the skips we've been doing before. Make a save point, walk into a cutscene trigger, and then use the rekindle ability to reuse that save, and it will think that the cutscene's done.
Greez, well, I was going to say he did catch up a couple seconds there because he got Grotto skip first try, where TheSparik had to take a second attempt at it. But then Greez had a little bit of trouble getting over that spike on the wall as you're heading up this this corridor here, this vertical corridor here. So kind of a little bit of a wash there. But Greez looks like he's going to be making it up just fine and doing the same cutscene skips that you were mentioning earlier. Now we are going to be climbing our way up out of Grotto and heading towards the Ginzo tree now that we have the water vein. It is the only dungeon that you're going to see any measure of throughout this game. As we were alluding to earlier, with the poison water thing, you're supposed to go through the Ginzo tree and beat it in order to clean the water so you don't take damage from water, restore all the elements, and basically free Nibel from all the disaster that's going on. You end up going to the Forlorn Ruins as well to restore wind, and then Horu to return warmth. We're going to be doing basically none of those things except returning warmth. You won't even see the Forlorn Ruins, and we only go to the Ginzo tree pretty much to pick up one of the most important skills in the run, Dash.
That's correct, and we're pretty much nearly there already. TheSparik is taking a stop along the way that MrGreez will also be taking to pick up an ability cell. So this game does have a whole bunch of abilities that we've been learning along the way, and there's a couple particularly important ones. So they'll need a bunch of ability cells to be able to get access to those as they're going. In addition, TheSparik right now taking a quick detour that, again, MrGreez will take in order to activate this teleporter here. Spirit Wells were present in the vanilla version of this game, and they're just places, fixed locations in the game where you can save the game. In Definitive Edition, which we're playing here, they also allow you to teleport between them. So we're going to need that swamp teleporter a little later on. We don't need it right now, but as we get into the Ginzo tree here, just kind of keep that teleporter in the back of your mind for later on.
Yeah, so there's about a 14-second difference right now between TheSparik and MrGreez, just to take note of. Lots of precise jumps here to do some semi-unintended strats. As you're going through these portals, you're intended to just basically walk your way from the right to the left and use all these portals to get up. In some of these instances, we're going to be doing very specific jumps to be able to skip some of those. Oh, and TheSparik takes a fall after hitting one of those gamers, so some opportunity for MrGreez to catch up here in the second room of the Ginzo.
Yeah, this room is terrifying. There's a lot of potential for things to kind of just go horribly awry. TheSparik did just take some damage. MrGreez just took some damage and also took a fall in that room, so same problem for him. The damage that TheSparik took just a moment ago was intentional, as opposed to the previous damage. He took a slightly different route than the one MrGreez took going through. They're very similar speed. MrGreez's route is about a second slower, depending on execution. So, you know, little things like that may be the difference between why TheSparik has a 30-13 right now and how MrGreez has a 31-30. They're not going to decide the race by any measure. However, the aggregate of all these things together certainly could.
Yeah, particularly in a shorter category such as this, which typically, you know, at the high end will run around 30 minutes and then sort of progress, depending on your skill level, towards around 40 minutes. So it's a fairly short run, and all those little minor time saves or losses will add up. Very nice mini-boss fight from TheSparik, using that cooldown, quote-unquote, skip ability from just that rhythmic press to the Spirit Flame. I think he got that in the minimum possible cycles there, so a very nice fight from TheSparik.
Unfortunately for MrGreez, not quite the same on his side. He took a hit from the Mortar Worm shot, and then unfortunately jumped into the spikes as well. So death for him there, and deaths on this mini-boss are very costly because of how slow it is. And in addition, he's playing on controller, so it's a little bit more difficult to do the mashing on controller. You can actually make use of the scroll wheel on keyboard and mouse to do the shooting a little more consistently. Whereas on controller, you kind of got to do it manually, and that is what MrGreez is doing. So a little bit of a time loss there, and TheSparik is able to get onto the bash tree and pick up basically the best skill in the game.
Yeah, that's right. And just a quick note, based on the input method there, TheSparik is going keyboard and mouse all the way. And there are a few things that are a little bit easier on keyboard and mouse. Probably the most notable is going to be double bashing, which you're going to see in a trick or two coming up. Just being able to control that direction, perhaps a little bit more precisely based on your familiarity, depending on what input method you choose. So this is going to be a keystone duke here. TheSparik has placed a save down below. If you place it far enough away from the door and put one less than the maximum amount of keystones for the door, take a death, it will actually keep those keystones in your inventory. So when you come back and you collect them again, you get more keystones. This basically is just going to save a bunch of time running around and collecting keystones later for another door that we're going to be opening on.
Yeah, in fact, the door coming up that we would need the keystones for, the keys for that door are underwater, and that used to not matter too much, but hey, now we're not going to clean the water. In fact, we're done with the Ginzo tree here. TheSparik is fighting the quote-unquote the boss of the tree, because he is going to be leaving immediately via this Spirit Well, and he is going to go back to Moon Grotto, and we're going to perform another trick here. Greez coming up just behind. He has completed his key dupe, and he successfully duplicated his keys. The main mistake that you can make there is dying a little too far from the door, for example, and fortunately that didn't happen to either runner, so they're good. But TheSparik is now going to be heading towards Swamp, and he's going to use a precise sequence of bashes on a frog to place him into the entry, what should be the exit point from Swamp, depending, but we're going to make it our entry point. And he's going to use frog projectiles to do that here with a little bit of blind movement to start off.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to position this frog into a very specific spot without, bashing it into the water, which is dirty, and he does exactly that. So he's got to take a death and reset that frog position. That's going to give Greez some time to catch back up. What he was trying to do there was to put the frog up above into the ledge right before that blue plant there, so it would have the shot arc over the plant and break the floor. And then right there, as you can see there, he's going to jump over the frog, and the frog's going to shoot, and it's going to break the floor there. He's going to then bait a shot, double bash it off to the right, and then up over to enter through the exit into Swamp. This is normally where the Ginzo tree will deposit you after you complete the escape, but that's slow. So we're here now, and we're heading on our way to Swamp, and Greez gets his frog position in on the first try, so probably about, I would say, 6 seconds that Greez has caught up there.
Yeah, that's really nice. That death for TheSparik is very, very nice for Greez, not so nice for TheSparik, but he is now able to ascend up to the Stomp tree. Greez uses a slightly different method that does not require double bashes. Again, those are something that's a lot harder on controller, so he's just going to do a more normal strat without double bashes, and he is able to get through as well. TheSparik having picked up Stomp now just shy of the 18-minute mark, and we'll see Greez coming up as well. So it looks around a 20-second deficit right here, so it's accumulating over the course of the race for TheSparik, and Greez really, he knows exactly kind of what this is. He knows that his chances are kind of heavily based on TheSparik making some amount of mistakes, but this is a very mistake-heavy game. There's a lot of opportunity for things like dunking your frog in that water there to happen to you, so there's really a lot of potential still for Greez here.
Yeah, absolutely, and Greez is not watching TheSparik here, so he doesn't know exactly how far ahead he is, which can be good for the nerves in a way, right? Because he's just going to be basically treating this run as a PB run. He's not going to know where TheSparik is, who misses the Kuro cutscene skip there. Something that he also missed in his warm-up race, which, just kind of as an aside, TheSparik was on PB pace for that run until he missed the Kuro cutscene skip. So he misses it again, and that's about an 18-second time gain for MrGreez if he can take advantage of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Greez had a little bit of a problem with a frog we affectionately call Ringo, and so he unfortunately lost a bunch of time getting to this ability cell. Again, remember that you need a whole bunch of ability points in order to access the abilities we care about. TheSparik casually stomping and stalling in the midair over instant death spikes down there. Those deal infinite damage, but he is able to get through safely. That's a well-practiced area for him. Greez does get his Kuro cutscene skip, that precise bash. He's able to bypass that trigger, so that does allow him to catch up some of those seconds. He lost a bunch of them back to that Ringo frog, but he might be, able to take advantage of things like that over the rest of this race if, things don't go quite TheSparik's way.
Yeah, for sure. So Greez just doing a little short save cutscene skip here. This is normally a cutscene that plays just lets you know, hey, there's a blue spider egg hanging up here. Again, that's slow. We don't really care a whole lot about it. And Greez is coming up onto his charge flame pickup, and that's about a 26-second difference right now. As we're going to be heading up onto one of the next major tricks of this run called Fast Dauntless. Normally what you're intended to do is climb up through Valley, bash across some birds, go over top some rocks, knock the rocks down onto Kuro. But we are going to instead do that from a distance. There is a spider up at the top of Valley who likes to make your day absolutely miserable, but we're going to make advantage of him and take one of his shots, fire it off to the left-hand side, go back down through Valley, race back towards the right to despawn into destruction, which will allow the spider shot to hit the rocks, and at the same time collect an ability cell. It's a fairly precise timing to be able to collect that ability cell, and it can be a pretty major time loss if you miss it, but these runners well practice at this particular trick, which is notorious when you're first learning the game.
Boy, when you say it like that, they're probably going to miss it. That's... Ooh.
Curses do not exist.
Here goes SrGreez. He's heading up. He's got a very precise aim there. Uses a kind of a cue of where to point his aim to be able to get that. He comes back and again does one of those stomp stalls in midair to be able to get to the cell, and his shot was good, so he hits the rocks, knocks him down on Kuro, and he'll get teleported into the cutscene to pick up Feather. And here is where the game is really going to get going. In just a few moments, SrGreez is going to be able to learn the ability Charge Dash. He's going to be able to travel at ridiculous speeds throughout the rest of the game. The first thing he's going to do with it is a technique called a rocket jump. If you've not kind of seen a rocket jump before, well, it's going to look a little bit like this. You can just charge dash an enemy above you and then cancel it with a jump, and you just go flying up into the sky. Greez is fast stompless, by the way. I just have to mention, his aim looked incredibly high. I don't have any idea how that shot actually made it, but it sure did, and he is at Feather now, so about as close behind SrGreez right now as he can really hope. It's still hovering around 30 seconds, and really any mistake by SrGreez here in Sorrow Pass could certainly kind of narrow that gap instantly.
Yeah, and this area gets incredibly dangerous and incredibly fast. From here, basically through Misty, there are plenty of opportunities to die and take significant deaths, and there's one. Thankfully, not all that significant, but still a little bit of a time loss. Greez, meanwhile, in Sorrow Bash, being a little bit careful as he gets up there. Another Ghost Door trick here happening on SrGreez's side, on the left side of your screen, as Greez performs his rocket jump to come up. One quick thing to note as well about the charge dash, which you're going to be seeing a lot in Misty, it's going to happen really fast. When you charge dash, if you stomp or bash, you will cancel the energy cost and refund it. Oh, that's a massive death from Greez. Oh my god. That's huge.
Yeah, that's worst case for Greez. SrGreez was able to make a save up at the top of Sorrow to lessen the pain from if he accidentally took a death, and then he did accidentally take a death, so he was able to reduce that death cost to around like 5 seconds. Greez unfortunately knows he needs to go at the maximum speed possible, and that just means you can't really make a safety save, and so you see the results. You get sent all the way back down to Feather, so that alone immediately makes for a very, very rough situation for Greez. It's going to be very difficult for him to come back from this right now.
Yeah, and I think just kind of based on his movement subsequent to that death, he's, as we colloquially call it, a little bit on tilt right now. He's taken a couple extra deaths after that as well, which would cost him even a little bit more time. So hopefully Greez can shake off the nerves from that and perform well for the rest of this run, because it's never fun, particularly in an area that's difficult as this. You take a death, it's very easy to get in your own head about tricks that you've hit a lot previously, and all of a sudden they just stop working.
Meanwhile, SrGreez is heading down and out of Sorrow. He has collected the Sunstone, the key to the final dungeon, so he will be able to enter Mount Horror when he gets there in a little bit later on. For now, this is the all skills category, so he does have to collect the remaining skills, Climb and Grenade. He doesn't really need them to beat the game, but that's the category, so he's going to go do it. And Climb requires this trip over into the Misty Woods, and there's really no other reason to go here. And unfortunately, once you go in here deep enough to collect the Climb skill, you do have to manually travel all the way back out. There's no quick escape. So as you see, SrGreez making great use of those charge dash cancels that Schaefer was just talking about, making sure to use his energy as efficiently as possible, as many times as possible. And he's probably down to about 1 right now, but that's plenty, as he is nearly at the Climb tree. Just going to navigate some terrifying spike maze right here where everything deals 3 damage and he only has 4 health still. But he is able to safely make it out. Greez, for his part, doing a Terra Break on his side. We didn't get to talk about this on SrGreez's side, but the way you access the Sunstone is you use Save Anywhere. Make a save right below that ceiling that blocks the way, and then you die while charge jumping, and that actually carries the charge jump effect through your respawn and causes the ceiling to break.
Yeah, it seems like once Greez got back into Sorrow Pass, it seems like the nerves, the tilt has kind of left him. He's been performing pretty cleanly ever since then, so, hopefully that continues. One quick thing to note, because you were just mentioning about 1 energy on SrGreez's side, you'll notice the UI has been off pretty much throughout the course of this run. the reason that we do that is because Sign likes to perform her best Navi impression and inform you of literally everything that you're doing and picking up. But if you turn off the UI, all those little tutorial messages disappear and they don't show up anymore. So it saves a fair amount of time throughout the course of the run, but it also means that your energy management and your health management can be a little bit spooky in the midst of doing all of these really fast movements, some of these really difficult tricks. You're trying to keep an eye, a mental eye, if you will, on where your energy and where your health are so that you can do things like this quick mini-boss kill that TheSparik just completed, as MrGreez is now rocket jumping his way up into the misty entrance on the right-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, kind of a vague high five. They're actually in approximately the same like X and Y position, but TheSparik's at the end of Misty because Misty Woods is magical, and MrGreez unfortunately still on his way in. And yeah, the energy management, the health management can be quite challenging, and so you actually do see TheSparik having his UI specifically on here. This is one of the sections of the game where a runner of TheSparik and MrGreez's knowledge level, they know that there's no text boxes along the way here, so they can just turn their UI back on and have access to that information for the second half of Misty here. TheSparik now entering Blackroot Burrows. Again, this is where we came earlier in the game to get the dash skill that allows us to go this fast, but TheSparik is back here to pick up the grenade skill. This is going to be his last skill of the game, and it just requires going past a couple, instant kill lasers. No big deal here. He's going to dash right on through there, and the laser's about to shoot, but he'll just jump right past it, no problem. And here there's a nice little 70-second cutscene that TheSparik does not want to watch, so another save anywhere, the last usage thereof, in order to spend an ability point and get through that cutscene without having to watch it. And here we go, all 11 skills collected.
Yeah, again, this isn't a skill that's necessary really at all, but there is a trick that you can perform which is similar to our rocket jump, called a grenade jump. And you throw a grenade and then you charge jump after it after climbing on a wall. Those are really, like, other than being the all skills category, grenade jumping is the central reason that we go and even care about climbing grenade jumping, because there's a trick right at the end of this run where we're going to be able to skip approximately half of the final cutscene by grabbing onto the wall and then grenade jumping directly past a cutscene trigger. So that's one of the central reasons we even care about grenade and climb. There was also, as you see TheSparik now heading to the Blackroot Spirit, well, you may have seen him take an intentional death coming back down through Blackroot Burrows as he performed a gate glitch by saving and then rekindling that save with a lever pull, which causes that gate to just sort of slowly traverse up automatically instead of having to worry about pulling it and then doing the vanilla method of trying to dash through it at regular speed. So TheSparik on his way now to the final escape as MrGreez is exiting Misty and heading on the way to Light Grenade himself.
Yeah, it's worth noting as TheSparik is going through Horror Fields, heading to the final dungeon here. Ow, okay, that's a banling. That death certainly won't set him back far enough for MrGreez to catch up yet, but I don't know, maybe another 2 or 3 banlings might. As he's heading here, he is going to bypass this health cell, which is sometimes picked up by other runners. MrGreez, I'm not sure whether he picks it up or not. I believe not, actually. I believe both runners are going for 5 HP. That is important because in the final escape, there is water. And remember, we did not clean the water, so it is poisonous. It will deal 1 damage every second. And I'm also going to mention that TheSparik is setting up for a trick that we weren't 100% sure if he was going to do until the moment he got here to the final escape. And now it does appear he's going to do it because he saved some of his energy. So let's start with the first things first. This is a trick called Door Warp. When he loads his game here, he's going to try to enter the door on the first frame. Gets it first try, very nice. And that just warps you to the end of the dungeon because of reasons. Somebody understands it's not me. That's okay. Now he's going to do a trick called Warp Skip. He activates this cutscene, performs a precise menuing trick, and he's able to re-enter the final escape with the cutscene still playing. Plus, he does not get a health and energy refill that he would normally get, and unfortunately goes directly into the lava, so he's going to take a quick death and retry that.
He might go for it the vanilla method. He did mention to us that he was going to go for it if he was ahead or on PB pace. He knows how far ahead he is because he is watching MrGreez. We are permitting that. And yeah, he's decided that he's just going to do the I can see what I'm doing method. of going through the final escape now. So this begins. This is Warmth Returned, the only element that we actually restore. So Nibel technically probably still in disarray, but we don't particularly care about it because we're going fast.
It's all right. I'm sure now. Oh, goodness. Okay. Yeah, he got
fine.
the... Oh, no. Okay,
Oh,
that's
but then
not
he
okay.
got sniped.
This is actually this is a lot of time lost for SPARK, and he does still have that lead, but boy, you really don't want to just give your opponent this much of an opportunity to catch up. He does manage to avoid any real pain here. Greez on his part, worth noting, doing some grenade jumps. Not very common to see a controller player do those, so it's pretty cool to see him pulling those out. SPARK now is going to be coming on this swim here, and this is the part where you need that 5 HP, but 5 actually is the minimum. It's very precise to be able to get out of this water safely, but he does, and we got one last trick, Shafe, that grenade jump you mentioned.
Yeah, and he's sort of hugging that left side of the wall to make sure he doesn't get sniped by the rocks as he's flying his way up. First try, very fast setup on that too. That was actually quite impressive how quickly he pulled that off. So SPARK now is just going to be holding right as he has finished his run. And Greez is just entering his final escape now as well. As you mentioned, grenade jump's a little bit more difficult on controller. He's probably still going to go for it in the final escape because it does save approximately 40 seconds or so off of the final cutscene. But SPARK will take the victory here, and he's going to be advancing on, as we mentioned, this is single elimination, so that's going to be it for Greez's tournament life. GG to him. He's put on a pretty good run here, looking to shape up for about a mid 30, late 33, somewhere in there. And of course, GG to SPARK for the win, who's going to be advancing on to face either Loopy or Elojimini in the second round.
Oh boy, that's a challenge right there. As Greez is getting to the very end here, he's going to line up his grenade jump. It's a very specific position, but he knows exactly where to go. Using his hybrid keyboard and controller set up for grenade jumps, he pulls it off first try as well. So very good showing by Greez, really not losing by a huge margin by any stretch. And of course, able to take advantage of a little bit of SPARK's, kind of late game spaghetti, but it just wasn't enough. SPARK knew where to throw down saves and be conservative enough that it wasn't going to cost him the race. So very well played by him, very well played by Greez. Just the result will speak here as it'll look to be about a minute and 4 seconds between the two.
A pretty good race overall, I gotta say. It's SPARK probably, maybe a little bit disappointed given where his warm-up race was. He finished his warm-up with a 30:22, so over 2 minutes behind that. But enough to advance, and that's all that matters. Single elimination format. He doesn't have to worry about coming back with a stronger performance against the same opponent. So, yeah.
All right, as we see our final times here and we see some incredibly spoilery cutscenes, we will, of course, check up on our runners and find out if they'd like to join us for a quick chat. We do notice that in the SRL race, this is mostly just funny and not really meaningful for the race, but SPARK actually finished before Greez by 3 seconds. Because he forgot to enter his .done command, but fortunately for him, that's not really relevant. He is able to take the victory by the full margin of a minute and 4 seconds.
That's kind of funny. I wonder if that was a result of Warm Skip kind of going a little bit sour on him. He was just like, how did I miss that? But as you can see on the screen here, the way that we've got the brackets set up, sort of typical playoff style format that you'll see in a lot of other sports. Higher seed faces off against the lower seed. So 14 versus 19, SPARK versus Greez. SPARK advances, and he's got some exceedingly tough competition in all likelihood. As Elojimini and Loopy are going to be one of his two opponents. And yeah, I would expect that Elo is going to take that, but it is a short category, and a lot of things can happen, as we have seen demonstrated throughout this run. Tricks that runners typically get. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way in the middle of a race, and it's not like a PB situation where you can just reset and go again. So By no stretch of the imagination should he count Loopy out. He's been practicing pretty hard.
That's for sure. We are now joined by TheSparik and MrGreez, and we'll start with TheSparik. I just want to say GG, congratulations on the race, and tell us a little bit about Warp Skip.
Oh, yeah, thanks for the GG. That was actually a pretty good race until I tried this infamous trick called Warp Skip. I told myself before the race that I would not attempt it unless I needed to PB, but I have been watching Greece, so I knew that I was ahead, and I wasn't too happy with my time. So I kind of wanted the 10 seconds that you save by doing it, but that blind movement, it didn't work this time. So after that, I was trying the normal thing.
Did you get any doubts at the moment that you did it? Oh no, am I going to because you also had a few brief moments after that where the escape was going kind of sideways. Did you have any amount of oh my god, am I going to just cough up this entire minute and a half lead I have here?
Yeah, that was pretty scary. On that last attempt, I kind of had to remake the final escape on the last attempt in order to still win it. So I was really scared of maybe soft-lofting the final grenade jump. Maybe I should have taken a bit more time to line that up, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty happy.
Fired that off super quick.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Greez, GG in the tournament, of course, taking the loss here today. But tell us, as far as your expectations for this race, and whether you would be able to defeat TheSparik, how do you feel about how the race went and how you played specifically?
Hi, thanks. Honestly, my goal was to get a decent average to avoid the top 10 in the first bracket match and hopefully get a close race, so I guess I can be happy. I got what I wanted. Yeah, but I wasn't hoping to win this race. I knew TheSparik was really good. He had an average that is faster than my PB, so my expectations weren't that high.
It is really hard, of course, to be able to take on an opponent who's that much faster than you. Did you have anything particularly special that you did in terms of preparation at any time really during the qualifiers? Obviously, this you did this race on the literal first day available, so I guess I don't have to ask whether you tried to spend much time preparing for TheSparik.
Yeah, I tried to practice as much as I could. I race all the 7 races I could during the qualifiers, so my highest chance was to race as soon as possible, because I wouldn't have enough time to practice during the week. So I got pretty decent time during the qualifier, so I wasn't that rusty.
Well, great showing by both of you. TheSparik, now you get to move on. You've got either Elo Jiminy or Loopy Lou, and with absolutely no disrespect to Loopy whatsoever, who has put in a ton of improvement over the course of qualifiers, it seems like your opponent is likely to be the number 3 seed. How are you going to approach that race? Well, match.
So you could say us scheduling this race early would kind of benefit the victor, so he can take the time to practice. So obviously I'm planning to improve my time by 2 minutes within a week. That never happened before, but watch me do it. Yeah, pretty confident that I'm going to do it. But in terms of opponents, obviously I expect to race Elo Jiminy, but then again, it's only one race, and it could happen that Loopy did the upset. Of course, it's really unlikely. But if he manages to take down Elo Jiminy, I think he would be a pretty scary opponent as well. So I'll try to get as much practice in as I can in the next week, and maybe get at least one race out of the best of 3.
Is there anything specific that you're going to be working on in preparation for that race? Any tricks that you might want to try and refine? For example, maybe Crazy Juggle?
Well, I have tried Crazy Juggle for a while, but I noticed that when I'm on PB pace, I just get too nervous in order to execute it quickly. So in the end, the 7-second time save, which it gives you, it doesn't give me any time save because I juggle pretty slowly, and then there are tournament nerfs and stuff like that. So I'm gonna stick with the strats that I did today for the next few races, and I'm just going to try and refine those. Like maybe a little bit better grotto skip. I don't think I need to practice Kurokatsin skip, even though I showed the big bird this race. That's like only happened today in the last 3 months.
We
Also happened in
always
the
appreciate
practice race. So
Yeah.
We do appreciate a good chance for some lore, even if it's just a loud bird squawking at us. Well, this has been a great race, so thank you both again for participating in the tournament and for joining us here to chat. And we are going to be done for now, but we've got a lot of good tournament action coming up. Do you happen to know what the next one we've got is?
Yes, the next race is tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern.
That's right. That appears to be between our friends Covert Muffin and Sarah Barron. They will be going up against one another in the next bracket match. We've got matches throughout the course of the week as well. We've got all of our schedule available on speedgaming.org/Ori. So if you go on ahead over there, you will be able to see what all is scheduled and when things are coming up over the course of the week. We expect to get through the round of 32. Should be a lot of fun. Should have a lot of good races here. But for now, it's been a pleasure. Shafe, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Vaughn. Pleasure being here as well. If you want to catch some other action on Speed Gaming, don't forget that Portal is got its Portal 2 tournament, Inbounds No SLA tournament that's going on right now on Speed Gaming 4 as well. So for my co-commentator Religion, my name is Shafe. Thank you for watching the Ori All Skills 2019 tournament, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern.